Do you guys like true crime? Yes? Awesome, because I have some books that you need to read. Hey friends, my name is Gabrielle and welcome to FrumiousReads, and I have a huge passion for true crime novels. Not a lot of people know about that actually. I used to want to be a detective when I was younger, but then I got older and realized that those kind of jobs are highly glamorized and it's not as fun as it seems in the movies, or so I've been told. But that doesn't stop me from reading all the true crime novels that I can. If you guys are like me and are always looking for true crime novels to read, then I have 3 amazing recommendations that you guys need to read immediately. The first book I want to talk about is Without a Doubt by Marcia Clark. Now Marcia Clark was the lead prosecutor in the O.J. Simpson trial, and the O.J. Simpson trial recently had an FX series released, which was O.J. Simpson versus the People, and then apparently there was also a documentary that was recently released around the same time. Obviously the O.J. Simpson trial has been something that people have been talking about a lot lately. I find that case so fascinating just because of everything that happened with it, and just how the jury reached their verdict is just astounding to me. The one thing that I say for sure about Marcia Clark is that she is an amazing writer, and this was hands down one of the most engaging, insightful true crime books that I've ever read. I've read a lot of true crime books, but Without a Doubt just has so much insight into the case, so much explanation as to the procedures behind the scenes, behind what you don't see in the courtroom, infighting with the other lawyers, with the judge, with the jury, just the general process of having to collect so much evidence. I mean, it was an amazing, mind-blowing read. She just tells you so much more about the case that you didn't know. She does it with such a sardonic and truthful and just straight point-blank way of writing that it keeps you engaged the entire time. If you guys have been watching the O.J. Simpson versus the People series that's now on Netflix, or if you guys are interested about the O.J. Simpson trial in general, you should definitely read Without a Doubt. It's so good. I have no complaints. Speaking of sensational trials and also murderers, speaking of sensational trials, the next book I want to talk about is one that's kind of a classic. It is the #1 true crime bestseller of all time. If you guys haven't read it yet, then you please need to jump on the bandwagon because it is just mind-blowing and so good. Helter, Skelter, The Story of the Manson Murders by Vincent Bugliosi with Kurt Gentry. Helter Skelter was one that I read it and then I proceeded to sleep with a bat by my bed for the next month and a half. The cataloging of the process of the Manson murders and the trial and everything that led up to it, everything about the Manson family, all of it is just so well put together here. And I love Vincent Bugliosi because he was a lawyer in the Manson trial, and he basically put the case together himself, had to line up all these events and research so much about Charles Manson, about the Manson family, about everyone who was involved. I love the self-deprecating humor that's in it. I love just the utter acknowledgement. There's so much acknowledgement that, yes, this was an insane thing to do, but this was an absolutely ridiculous thing that this cult did, but somehow it happened. I love the level of research that it went into putting this entire story together, because not only is it just about the case, that's the one thing that's different with Helter Skelter and Without a Doubt. Helter Skelter is just on a different level because it catalogs Manson and his life and his followers' lives, and it catalogs the murders and what led up to them and how they happened, and just has excerpts from interviews, and it's just so well put together that you cannot put this down. I read this, I started at about 9 p.m., I finished at midnight, and I was up until 2 a.m. just kind of researching everything I could about the Manson family because this book makes you want to know so much more. It's amazing. I can't stop ranting about this book, but if you guys have not read Helter Skelter, then you definitely need to. There's definitely a reason why it's the #1 best-selling crime novel of all time. And finally, this book I actually don't have a physical copy of because it creeped me out so much to read it that I got rid of it. But it is The Night Stalker by Philip Carlo. Now, The Night Stalker was one that I read when I was a junior in high school because I had to do a book report. And I had to do a book report on something that really, like a real-life event. And I don't think my English teacher was very happy with the book that I chose because it was about, The Night Stalker is about Richard Ramirez, who was nicknamed the Night Stalker, and he was a serial killer in Los Angeles for most of the 70s, 80s. But I picked this book for a really strange reason. Random fact, my dad actually went to high school with this guy. And so apparently when they were putting a picture up when they finally ID'd who the Night Stalker, who the serial killer was. They posted his picture on TVs like everywhere, like interrupted broadcasts to make the announcement. And my mom and my dad, who were dating at the time, my dad saw his picture on TV and went, "Oh, hey, I know that guy. He went to my high school." I'm almost like, "What? You knew him? He's a serial killer?" And she was freaked out by it. She was so freaked out by him because he was such a notorious serial killer. Anyway, so it was a really weird coincidence, but that's part of the reason why I picked this book to read. And this was probably my first introduction into true crime and how much I loved it. Now, Philip Carlo is kind of an author who is known for writing true crime novels. He was an author who would go and interview all these famous serial killers. So I know he did Richard Ramirez. He also did the Iceman, who was a mafia, the most notorious mafia hitman, and he tends to write about really sensational people. So if you have an interest in true crime, if you have a specific person that you want to know more about, or if you just want to read more about some of the most notorious serial killers in America, then I would definitely look up Philip Carlo, but Night Stalker is one that I highly recommend. I don't know what it is, because Philip Carlo really prided himself on going in and getting the facts from these people and treating them as people and doing interviews and really researching everything about their cases, about themselves, about them, and a lot more of research into the psychology behind it. He tends to write with such a captivating voice. The one thing I will say, and why this is the last book on the list, there tends to be a little bit of repetition in his novels, I've noticed. It doesn't take away from the story in general. It's just almost just like the same thing is restated. But overall, really great book. He was an amazing author. If you guys haven't read any of the books I mentioned, then you definitely need to. That's all I've got for you guys today. Those were only 3 recommendations. So if you guys like this video, let me know. I have a ton more I can list to you guys. If you guys have any recommendations for true crime novels, then go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I will definitely talk to you guys about those. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then you definitely should, because I upload bookish videos twice a week, as well as reaction videos whenever something cool comes out that I want to react to. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today, so thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.